It's raining all the time. No, my camera. Weather station is the best DIY project that you can build. That's what I told you in my previous video when I have been building this weather station. It's been outside for over 500 days. So today I want to look inside and see what works, what doesn't, and improve a few things. And also show you all of my mistakes so that in case you want to build your own weather station, you do not make the same mistakes I did. But I will also show you the good things, the 3D printed parts printed with the cheapest material that survived all of this time outside. I will also share my schematic and program for the Raspberry Pi Pico, but also the website and all the code to recreate this on your own server. And of course the 3D files, you can get all of that from my GitHub completely for free, link is in the description. After taking a quick look inside the case, everything seems fine. The battery is still charging with the solar panel. The battery, at least from the outside, looks fine. We have no signs of water inside the case, which is good, but we do have signs of rust on the sensors that were outside. And the PCB inside is perfect, but cables definitely seen some UV exposure. I'm really interested if the 3D printed case is still waterproof after 500 days, so let's take a look at the electronics that was inside. The PCB from the top seems fine, let's take off the Kapton tape, and at the bottom, really good as well. Based on that, we can conclude that even the cheapest PETG filament works very well for outside enclosures. Unfortunately, the temperature sensor that obviously has to be outside of the case has some rust on the pins. And a lot of people in the comments were right, and the rain sensor is completely destroyed and definitely does not work anymore, and I do not recommend this kind of sensor for a weather station project. And sun sensor is also not in the best shape, a lot of rust on the pins, and also the sensor itself does not look very good. And here is an interesting part, because a lot of people said that the 3D printed wind speed sensor won't work very well and the bearing will be rusty. It's not, it works very well, rolls very easily, and the sensor still detects everything. The magnet is there and the whole sensor covered with hot glue also works fine, so this sensor will stay as it is because it is quite good. Now let's find out why the weather station doesn't work. I suspect it's a battery problem. 10.8 volts, so it is quite low. The weather station works, I connected it to the lab bench power supply and it uploaded data properly. It was just the battery that was broken. Now I'm discharging it with a charger, so that way I will know its current capacity. It should be almost 3,500 mAh. The test just finished after around 12 minutes and the answer is 74 mAh. That's like 2% of the initial capacity, so it is totally broken. And to fix this project, I bought this tiny solar charger module. It's called CN3791, and this is a 12-volt version so that it will work with my solar panel that I have. But you can use also a smaller solar panel like this one and buy the 6-volt or I think 9-volt version, and that should work fine. It's super inexpensive and it's tiny compared to what I used previously. And for the battery, I will be using two 18650 cells. I checked that the voltage on them is the same, then connected them with Kapton tape, and now I will connect them with a pretty cool device. Here is something completely brand new that I've never used before, and that is a spot welder for the batteries. And yeah, I know I just have to connect two batteries together, but I always wanted to try it and I will need to use it for one of the coming projects, so let's try it now. Should I read the instruction or not really? No, instructions are not for me, and also this device is like super easy to use. So I put the batteries in this vise and then I put the nickel strip on top. I'm not sure if you need to wear the safety glasses here, but it's probably not a bad idea. Yes, every eye-related accident really terrifies me, so I often wear safety glasses when I don't even have to, but I don't think it's a bad thing. I was expecting fireworks and thunders and sparks flying all over the place, and turns out it makes barely any noise and just a tiny spark from time to time. Super easy to use, super fun to use, and the safest way to connect this kind of cells together. Totally recommend that. Few years ago I have been soldering these batteries and nothing happened, but generally you definitely shouldn't be doing that. And it's also just way faster to spot weld them than to solder. And my first ever battery pack is ready. I mean, just 2 batteries connected with the nickel strip, but it was so fun to do it with the spot welder. I bought it with my own money. It is not like a sponsored thing or whatever. It works fine for at least 2 batteries. I'm not sure about, soldering 50 or 100, but I will use it soon to finish this project Indie Mower. A long time ago, I started a project called Indie Mower, which was a DIY robotic lawnmower you can build on your own. This project proved to be very difficult. I'm still working on it and hopefully I will be able to finish it this year with GPS RTK. But for now, I want to introduce you to the sponsor of today's video, which is Antbot. Antbot makes very interesting and very unique robotic lawnmowers. The one I have here is called N8 and it uses GPS RTK and vision to cut your grass perfectly. The setup takes just literally 10 minutes. You just need to put the base station and a charging station in your garden, and if you do not want to use the base station, you can actually use a newly introduced feature, Net RTK. 4G connectivity and Net RTK are included out of the box for 1 year and you can easily renew in the app. And to map the garden, you just drive around the perimeter with 2 joysticks on your phone. Super easy and super fun to do, and just like that you are ready to start cutting your grass. And the best thing about this robotic lawnmower is that it collects the grass in the back and then can dump it in a place that you define on the map. It does it completely automatically and has a special sensor that detects when the bag is full. And the clippings of grass that it collects are perfect to put on a compost. But wait, there is more. It can also collect the leaves, which will be very useful in about a few months. And if you replace the blade disc, you can mulch the grass instead of collecting it. It will be cut into very tiny pieces and then discharged at the back of the robot, which acts as a natural fertilizer for your grass. Pretty clever. The vision system is a great addition to GPS RTK because it can detect obstacles, very tiny ones but also big ones like the trees, so you do not have to define the no-go zones everywhere. The robot can just avoid any obstacle it can find. I think people these days are used to robotic vacuum cleaners that can clean our houses, and it's a pretty cool tool. But robotic lawnmower can save you even more time because you have to cut the grass in the summer pretty much every week, every other week to keep it clean, and the robotic lawnmower can do it for you without taking any of your time. And in case of Antbot, it can even dump it whenever you need it to. Antbot has plenty of cool robotic lawnmowers on their website, which will be linked in the video description. You can find their RTK systems, vision systems, or lawnmowers that combine RTK with vision like the one I have. Check out their website, maybe your next robotic lawnmower is waiting there for you. Thank you very much for watching this sponsor segment. Remember that supporting the sponsor of this video means also supporting my channel and my project, so thanks a lot for that. And now we go back to the weather station. I added cables with connectors to charge and discharge the battery, and these were soldered to the nickel strips protected with insulation tape and then Kapton tape. I connected everything to the charging module and took it outside for a test to test the charging module with the solar panel and to make sure that everything charges properly. And here in a time-lapse you can see that the battery in about half an hour charged, so everything is working. Okay, so the solar charging definitely works. It is charging a bit slowly because, well, this battery, even though it's small, it has actually quite a decent capacity. It should be around 4 ampere hours or 4000 milliampere hours. Battery and the solar charger works fine, that's really good. So now it's time to take care of the electronics. I have to remove the linear voltage regulator because it's very inefficient, and I will connect from this screw terminal directly to the Raspberry Pi Pico to its DC to DC converter, because based on what I found online, it is very efficient and it should work very well with this battery and this voltage. That turned out to be very easy to do, and one less component on the PCB, which is always good. If you would like to replicate this weather station, here is the schematic that you need to follow. It is already updated, and if you are wondering what software did I use to make it, it's called FreeSync and it's super cool and very easy to follow for beginners. For the program, there was a lot of room for improvement when it comes to the previous version. Also, a huge improvement would be to use Raspberry Pi Pico 2W, not the first version, but that's what I already have, so I stick to that. And I tried with just Gemini to rewrite the program. It didn't work well, so I switched to anti-gravity, and one of my subscribers mentioned in the comments that I should be using medium or low mode most of the time to get more prompts with anti-gravity, and that worked, and it's still very accurate and solves the problem properly. AI is such a blessing because I hate programming, and now I can do it very, very quickly. And if you are wondering how to set up the server, you can just clone my repository on your server and follow the instruction in the README. If you face any problems, you can just ask AI and it will help you with everything. And just like that, it's ready. This is so cool. But does it actually work? Let's measure the current with the multimeter, and as you can see we are consuming 44 milliamperes when the program is active, but then when we go to a deep sleep it's just 2.5 milliamperes. Power consumption problem solved, and it was very easy to replace the things, actually just remove the things and just change the connections. And I estimated the average power consumption right now to be about 5.6 milliamperes. This is crazy, it's 10 times less compared to the previous solution. And that's all thanks to the deep sleep and way more efficient power converter that's available on the Raspberry Pi Pico. The solution was already there on the board, I didn't add any new components. I just had to think about it a bit more. And change the battery and the solar charger. I can easily pack it all into a box that's the size of this board, instead of this huge one that I have been using previously. Huge improvement definitely. Everything was as always designed in Fusion 360, my favorite CAD software, and here I designed just exactly the same box as before, but way smaller, and then I printed that on BambooUp A1 Mini with the cheapest PETG filament you can find. It costs about 33 zł or $9 for 1 kilogram spool. Crazy. This is the old box and this is the new box, so the size difference is quite substantial. I didn't design any holes inside the case, I wasn't sure how many of them I will need, so here I'm just drilling, and that's my recommendation. If you prefer, you can also cut the holes before printing your own box. I'm also changing the temperature sensor from DHT11 to DHT22 because the range of both the temperature reading and the humidity reading is way better on the new sensor. And just look at what I'm doing there. The cable glands are great if you want to protect and make sure that the case is waterproof. So of course I use them in the project, but as always I forgot about the nut. Always. Seriously, 100% of the time I forget about this little nut and I have to go through the cables once again. And then I protected all of the cables that are just connected with gold pins, like breadboard cables, with hot glue to make sure that everything stays secure. To the screw terminals I connected the battery, and well, the weather station was ready to be placed outside in my garden. Okay, maybe one last touch, a cable wrap for the cables that go to the sensors. It will look a bit more professional and protect them from UV exposure. Oh, and zip tie holders that you need to attach to the back of the enclosure with super glue, that way it's way easier to print. That was the worst way to mount a piece of wood and cut it, but this little crappy table is all I have right now. I put the weather station back where it was, I attached the solar panel with a small 3D printed element, everything was fine, but the weather station was not uploading any data to the server. And then I thought that, well, probably it is a Wi-Fi problem because the weather station is not even connected to my router. I can see it in the router settings. There is a weak Wi-Fi connection and I'm pretty sure there is no an easy fix that I can do now, so I will just move the whole thing a bit closer to the home. So now it is right here, and it used to be like there but behind the trees, so a bit farther away from the router. And then the Wi-Fi problem was solved. And I went to Spain for 3 days to join Euskal Encounter, which is one of the biggest LAN parties in Europe. It was a pretty cool event and Hugging Face sent me there to give a talk about Larobot and to help them with a workshop. It was a pretty nice event and I was able to check the weather on my phone that's right here at my house, which was very cool. The only problem is I was able to do it only for like 2 days, because then the weather station stopped working. And when I got back home, I looked into the code, I talked a bit more with anti-gravity, and it looks like it was a problem with the deep sleep of the Raspberry Pi Pico. I managed to catch it. This is so cool. After some digging, I found that deep sleep, when you use MicroPython on Raspberry Pi Pico, it's not really reliable, which is a problem in a weather station that should be working, well, all the time. That's why I changed the program a little bit and I'm not using the deep sleep anymore, but rather light sleep. And I have a watchdog that is looking over the code, and if something breaks, something stops working, it will be reset and the Raspberry Pi Pico will start all over again, and hopefully with that the code will be very robust. Actually, I know that it is because for the last 7 or maybe even 10 days the weather station has been working without any problems. And the coolest thing about this DIY weather station is that it's public. You can just go to weather.industry.cc, I will give you a link in the video description, and check out the weather in my garden. I'm using it every single day, my family uses it every single day. It's one of these projects where it's not just for a video, but it's an actual thing in my garden that we use every single day. Also, don't forget to check out the sponsor of today's video, Antbot. I will give you a link to their robotic lawnmower that is driving here in the background all the time in the video description. Thank you very much for watching this video and I will see you in the next one. Bye!